maybe before we start, we don't talk about transfers, not about Phil Coutinho, no, only the game.
No chance.
Who wants to talk about the game can stay, the rest can leave.
Will Phil Coutinho be in the squad?
You can ask this question.
But supplementary to that little bit, I just wondered how has Phil Coutinho been in training, what's his mood like, and will he figure, at least in some capacity, against Manchester City?
Phil came back day before yesterday already, and but like Roberto, we sent them immediately home to get a few hours of sleep. Even when we tried everything to organize it as good as possible, but as comfortable as possible, which is quite difficult in a week like this. But yesterday, of course, he was in, yes, and we had a very good talk. He was in a very good mood, and training was even better. But I had to make the decision. It was so clear. We have now 7 games in the next 3 weeks, kind of, and so there will be never time really to train. And we had this conversation, and he had before he went to Brazil, he couldn't train for around about 3 weeks, and so that means we have to prepare him now, try to prepare him for the rest of the season, and so that's quite difficult with our fixtures and our schedule. And so I decided to leave him out of the squad for City, that we can use this 4 or 5 days, for real and proper training. We got all the numbers from the Brazilian FA around the training, the intensity of training and stuff like this. So it was all okay. But he played twice, I think, around about 15-20 minutes. So he could have played 15-20 minutes, but again, in a City game, maybe longer. But I think really it makes sense. And by the way, he agreed completely. So it was not that he said, no, I don't need training, I want to play or whatever. So it was, I said, a good conversation.
You were able to add further to your squad on deadline day as well. And Stuart Pearce said today that Liverpool is a perfect match for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. So what is your plan for Alex, and where do you see him fitting in? I suppose again will he be involved this weekend?
Yes, where we wanna.
Yeah, what's your plan for him? Where do you see him fitting into the team lineup?
On a few positions, so that's how it is. He's a very good football player, so that helps a lot. He's good in small spaces, really good in big spaces. Good dribbler, good passer. So a lot of things I really like, and that means you want to have him on the pitch as often as possible. And he fits really well in the squad, and that means immediately fits then really well in different lineups. So that's in the system we play in this moment. It's not fixed for the next, I don't know, 7-8 months, but in the system we play in the moment, you can play 4 positions. So both number 8s and both wingers. So that's how it is. We play in a specific way, and we want to use him on these positions.
And you've not lost in 9 previous away games against City, United, Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal and Everton.
That's the past, huh? What's the secret? What's the secret? Hard working, probably, huh? Having a kind of a plan against them to play, and having luck in the right moment. A few things, but always pretty much 100% performance. So yeah, that's what you need. If you show weaknesses in a game like this, these teams will all use them for sure. And it's clear that you have to be ready for the different situations in the game. And against City now, because these games are all different. City is probably the most intense game to play against, because it always without a perfect attitude, without the maximum readiness to really work, you have no chance. They play too much football in too interesting spaces that you have a little chance. And so then you have to hope that they don't score. Yeah, that's another opportunity to do it. Actually, that's not what we try to do. And so it's not too easy to prepare this time for City, because they played already different systems. That's what Pep's always doing, and they are not too different. But in this moment, they play with 3 or 4 in the back, or 4 or 5, however you want, and so that changed a little bit the formation also from the midfield players and where they play. But they have the same problem what we have. They have one real session to prepare the game against us. That's a real challenge. So we have the session today to try our best to be prepared, because the players come from all over the world and played completely different systems, had different roles in their team, and that makes it a real challenge.
Peter? How difficult is it for you to juggle your team at the moment? You had a team that's beaten Arsenal 4-0. You then have a new signing, you have Philippe coming back in, you have young Ben Woodburn scoring for Wales, you have Adam Lallana coming back in. How difficult is it for you to...
Adam is not in the race at the moment.
How difficult is it for you to decide on your 11 and disappoint a lot of other players?
No, you have to respect or accept this in the beginning of the season. So that I cannot, I said it a few times, I cannot keep all players happy each second of the day. That's how it is. But yesterday, when they were all in the dressing room, we had a little meeting and spoke about this. If you look left or if you look right, there's pure quality, and if we are smart enough to use this quality, then we can have, and it's possible to be successful this season. If somebody who's not involved lose confidence, I cannot change, because I can say in this moment, I respect all of you, and you are only here because I need you. So, that makes it for me then easy. It's always a decision for one game, and what I learned about this team so far, the players react really well in situations like this. We made a few changes between the Hoffenheim games, I'm not sure, against Crystal Palace. And it was a different performance, but that was also because of the opponent. But it was really good, and especially good enough to win the game, and with a few wonderful individual performances. So that's the situation. Football will change in the next few years, hopefully, because nobody, I said it already, nobody will leave a few games out and say, okay, come on, give them a little rest, and let them, and we don't need football this weekend or that weekend. So we need to perform all the time, and we need to be ready all the time. And for this, we need obviously more players than we needed, a football club or team was needed in the past. And that means we have to rotate if we can. Two things to keep the intensity level up. That's very important, and to minimize the risk to get injured players, because most of the injuries happen because players play too often. And if you are successful, you can go until 60 games a season. Nobody should play 60 games. So if you would play 10-year football and play all 60 games each season, it will be immediately 600 games. I don't think that anybody ever had something like this. So if you use a player all the time, it's kind of accepting injuries, and we have to adapt to this situation. We want to be ready for each game, and that means the lineups can be different. It will not always happen that we change from one game to the other, because the rhythm is also important. But we need the options, and now we have the options. It's good.
And we'll see it as a huge game. It'll have global exposure. It's Pep against Jurgen, 2 potential title contenders in a lot of people's eyes. What sort of game would you like to see tomorrow?
A good one. Actually, most of the time I only watch my side, so I cannot say a lot about the other side after a game, because I'm not too much interested. But of course it happens sometimes that the other team performs really well, and it's easy to remember. But part of the game is, of course, to let them not do what they want to do, and especially against a Man City side, which is outstanding, strong. We have to do this. But on the other hand side, we all know we can also play football, and that's what we want to do. It's not, but a game like City face a lot of times, I think, that we have to defend deep, because they are strong in different moments. But and they can force you to do that, and we should be smart enough to do it then, but it will not happen all the time. We also can be strong in possession and have to do this in the same way. And both teams are strong in counterattack, so that means for both teams being really careful with losing balls in specific situations. So that's a really interesting game, and I really enjoy the preparation. I would have enjoyed it much more if we could have had 2, 3, 4 sessions to prepare it, but now it's one. Makes it even more special.
Jurgen, you say Philippe was a good mood, training even better. That relationship is never going to be exactly the same with a guy who wanted to leave. How difficult is it?
No, it's not. It is the same. I can explain it because obviously I'm the only football professional here, so then I should use another maybe example. Maybe one of you, a few of you had already were splitted a few weeks in a very good relationship with friends, even with the wife or whatever. And if you, the very smart way is not to think about the time when you were split. What have you done there? What have you said there? Who did you meet? All that stuff. It was clear. It was it was not the most easy time, but that's the transfer window. In these times, the only moment when people can make transfers, players can make transfers, clubs can make transfers, and things like this happen. It's not the first time here, and it will not be the last time in the history in the future. But similar things will happen, and I really think we handle it really well. And that there's no secret about the things which happen. Not all the things in newspapers or wherever were 100% right, but it's normal that a lot of things coming up in a situation like this, but nothing I'm aware of was kind of unforgivable or something like this. It's a normal thing. And he came in yesterday, accepted to 100% the situation. It was not even that I had to say something about it. It's just the situation. And now I really think we all should use the situation with a wonderful player in our squad who wants to get fit and who wants to play for this club. We know about nobody how long he will play for the club, because sometimes we want to send players away and sometimes players think about their future also, and that's a normal situation. So it's absolutely no problem, and yeah, I'm really completely fine with the situation.
You talked about a difficult 2 weeks coming so early in the season with the transfer window, the international break. I suppose with some players, you keep everything crossed that they don't get injured and perhaps they don't...
All of them.
All of them. Is Ben Woodman a slightly different case? Did you see him develop a little bit more as a player in his time away from you? You must have been delighted to see what he did.
I love the phrase Prince of Wales. I said it already 5 times. I'm not sure that he likes it too much, but I couldn't stop actually. Yes, I saw the games, and it was a big impact what he had, and I'm really happy for him and for Wales that they have this wonderful talent in their squad. I saw the interview she gave together with Bale, and you could see in Ben's eyes what it means for him. It was really nice. So he's our player. That's maybe the best news you can get, and we try to help him with all we have, and we try to protect him with all we have. And that's really important. And the most important thing is that he's not only a good football player, he's also a very good and smart person. So we are in close contact, how you can imagine. And yes, he had these minutes for Wales, and what we have to give him is education, training, and opportunity to play. And he's ready for playing in all different teams we have, and he's still allowed to play, because we give ourselves the freedom to educate and teach him in the training session with the first team, and then he will play wherever he is needed, and it's good for his development, because we all know these stories from really young, outstandingly skilled boys, and then because of 1 or 2, 3 things, and especially because of getting impatient, things changed. And I have at least or minimum 50% responsibility for his development. So in this 50%, the rest is the player, of course, himself, family, all that stuff, and that's really it fits really well, especially the family side. And so we know about our responsibility, and we are really ready to to live it, if you want, we help him with all we can. But that doesn't mean that he can now start for us or whatever tomorrow. Yes, he can. In specific games, he can. He came back from the summer break and was not in the best shape. Things like this happen. He's 17, turning 18 in a few weeks, and so that happens all the time. But even when he's not in the best shape, so not physically, more football-wise, he's still hard working. Had good games in preseason, really, and you could really see in the last 2-3 weeks everything came back. The speed was back, and it was, I'm not sure if the right word, cheeky again. He played really football, looking there, playing there, and used all the things. He's very football smart, so that's cool. And yes, we are happy to have him, and we will still help him in each part of his development.
James, you mentioned the transfer window. That will change as from next year, with it closing before the season starts. What do you think about that, and what do you think about other transfer windows still being open once the Premier League round closes?
Yeah, so that's clear. I think always somebody has to start if you want. I would have preferred actually 100% if all FAs would have come together and decided then together and say, come on, let's do it like this. It's a decision for football, because all managers think the same. We want to start, actually, the 100%, the perfect, will have the team together when you start with the preseason, but then you have to make the transfers in the last season. So that's probably not possible. So yes, take the earliest moment, but let's do the clubs the business, but then use the earliest moment to stop it, and you can start with the team you want. Ox is a very good example now. He's a wonderful player, but he needs to adapt to how we play. We play different than Arsenal, and not better, not worse, just different. And he needs to adapt to this. And he had the session yesterday. We'll have the session today, and tomorrow we play. So it doesn't make too much sense that you say, okay, come on. If you don't have to, give him the time. And then we all know how it will work. If he doesn't start tomorrow, it's already a story, and then we have the Tuesday, it's a story again, and all that stuff. So there's always pressure. And if he would be in since, when did we start? Starting in July or something, probably so. That of course it would have been much better, but it's not to change. Now England changed as the first FA changed it, and hopefully the other will follow, because otherwise, of course, it's kind of a one-way road then. So we stop getting players in, but they still can get our players. So that would not be too cool. But again, it's about the clubs, because nobody can force you, obviously, to sell players. So it's the job to do, and if you know it early enough, then you can you can deal with the situation.
You got Naby Keita, albeit for next summer. I know
that's the earliest transfer, huh? No, that's cool.
How happy are you to have got him, albeit for 12 months' time?
I have contact to a lot of people in the German Bundesliga, how you can imagine. I've never got so many congratulation short messages like after it got in public that we signed Naby, because he's the player of the league. So that's how it is. Last year, together with Thiago Alcantara, who played outside season for Bayern and stuff like this, he was the flyer, and he's doing that already for 2-3 years in different leagues. Yes, but he's still a very young boy. So that's really good news. Okay, you have to wait, but sometimes you have to wait. It's for a really good thing. So I have no problem with this. I would have preferred, how you can imagine, another situation, but that's not a problem. So it's cool.
Sorry to drag it back to Philippe again, but there was so much risk.
Did we already speak about a City game? You asked one question. That's done then? Sorry.
There was so many claims about what he would do or what his attitude was going to be. Is he the same Philippe that he was before? Have you noticed a change?
How can I say this after half an hour talk and 1.5 hour training? It looks like. And it would be not a big surprise for you. Maybe you should not believe all the things what was claimed. I don't know exactly what it means, but so it's it's really like it is the most important thing. Nobody told me anything that I have to say, oh no, that was too much, whatever. It's a normal situation, and we all know about it. And yes, there was another club, pretty big club, and they obviously wanted to have a player from us. That's how it is. And there was a club decision. That's how it is, and it cannot be sorted in one day. They ask, we say no, and then stop. So that's not how it is. So you have to do these things. You have to go through these times, and then at the end, things can be good if you're smart enough to start again. So why should I think about one day? I cannot even remember 3 or 4 days of the last 4 weeks. It was so intense. Everything happened. So many things. The team dealt really well. Actually, I said yesterday in the dressing room, so. Boys, welcome to new players, yeah? Ox and Phil. So and all good. That's absolutely. And so he loves football, and he still loves this club. So and there's no problem. The only but the only thing we have to do now is really to bring him into shape, because maybe a few of you remember still before he got the back problems, he was in outstanding shape. He played outstanding football in Asia and Hong Kong. That was football, and so now we have to get him back in this situation as quick as possible.
Anything, Rory? Anything from you? Just check it. Injuries. We obviously knew about the Lana claims. Nothing else is
Not since this morning. No, that's looks quite good.
And Simon still to come back in?
No, I decided differently, because it was you were so. Of course, he will come back. Yeah. And now he's rested after 3 games. Yeah.